Hello everybody, I'm Ishma. I'm back with another run, the first run that we're actually going to be doing at a marathon for The Last Fave. This should be a game that nobody's ever seen at a marathon before, so I'm pretty happy to be able to show this one off. Especially with my good friend over here.
Yeah, I'm Kara, and I can say that I have never seen this game before at a marathon, or ever, so...
That's gonna be a fun one for us all. Kara, before we start, what would you say is like the game series or game style that you're kind of known for?
Well, I play a lot of Souls-likes, so...
Exactly.
That's, yeah.
So Elden Ring, Dark Souls...
Elden Ring, Dark Souls,
shebang.
1, 2, 3...
You might have heard in that respect of a little game called Bloodborne that has attracted quite the cult following, I want to say, in that space because it's like a PlayStation 4 exclusive. It hasn't been ported to, or officially ported to, any other system so far. So, like the fan demand for a Bloodborne on, say, PC or any other console other than the PS4 has been extraordinary. And I want to say that The Last Fave kind of fills that niche a little bit, because this is basically, as you can probably already tell by the starting screen here, Bloodborne, but it's a pixel graphic Metroidvania. And it is pretty good. Like, it really fills that niche in my opinion. But we're gonna get into it right now. It recently dropped actually in the Awakened Ancients DLC. It's a free DLC. It's basically like the stretch goals from the Kickstarter that finally got released to the public. So it also includes New Game Plus, which we'll be playing on. So the category is Hail to the King, any percent New Game Plus. Hail to the King is the easiest, like the bad ending out of the 3 endings of the game that we're going to go for. Any percent, like everything is allowed. And New Game Plus, I think you all know what the New Game Plus is at this point. So let's just go ahead and get into this. Time will start once you start seeing the UI in the upper left corner of the screen here. So I will try to count it down in 3, 2, 1, go. And I immediately rang the wrong end. So yeah, this is The Last Fave. We are in control of Eric. Eric is a Nighttorn that you can kind of imagine as like a actually successful experiment of infusing a human with Nightcrux, which is basically the souls that you gather like in a Dark Souls kind of game that are your currency you can see in the top right of the screen. I won't be going into a lot of detail from the story because it is kind of as obtuse as you know from the Bloodborne games or like any Dark Souls games really. So yeah, go ahead and watch like a Vati video on that. In it, I won't be bothering with it. But I think you already said it when you saw it a little bit earlier that this kind of reminds you of Castlevania. Mm-hmm. And I think that is kind of by design that it kind of fills that niche between, Castlevania, Bloodborne, Metroidvania. So there's a lot of DNA in this. This was done by a small indie studio that had a very successful Kickstarter with it, with like a playable demo and everything. And it released at the end of 2023. So it is still kind of newish. It's roughly like a bit over 2 years old at this point. But I think apart from the Kickstarter, it has been a little bit ignored by the wider range of gamers. And hopefully we might be changed that today. This is the first boss of the game. It's kind of easy. He's a giant patron over here. And the weapon that we'll be using is the Severance Reaper. It's kind of this scythe-like weapon. And we're using its special attack that you can kind of see if you watch the health bar of that thing. It just gets absolutely shredded to pieces here because obviously this being a New Game Plus, we are not supposed to have this weapon at this point in the game. It's like a late game kind of weapon that you would pick up, and it is pretty phenomenal. Actually, one thing that I wanted to point out at the beginning that I kind of forgot, there is a donation incentive tied to this run. So for a couple of donations, you can actually change what we will be running here. And instead of the Hail to the King ending, we will be doing the Embrace the Cosmic Voice, which is like the neutral style ending of the game, which adds another boss fight right at the end of the run. So you have the whole run basically to get that incentive met. At the start here, we are now going to the Oxneville Manor. The Oxneville Manor is kind of like the hub area of the game where you get your NPC that lets you level up, Lady Helenia, which we'll see in just a moment here. There she is. I am already at the maximum level of the game, which is 446. I actually did do that not the natural way, because there was a bit of an experience exploit like way back in the 1.0 version of the game that basically lets you very quickly get to that amount of level. But it just makes the run go a little bit faster. I don't want to say that there is actually that much time save in there, because as you know from the Soul series, there is like a hard, or not like a hard cap on your stats, but like a hard fall off after a while, where you're basically not really getting any more increase to your attack power, even if you push strength or whatever stat it is that your weapon would scale with.
Yeah, the difference is negligible at that point.
Exactly. So I want to say like probably around level 200 or so, you're probably maxed out on anything anyway. But yeah, that was like the hub area of the game. You saw me activate that altar. It's kind of like the fast travel points of the game that you can use to freely warp between, which cuts down on the travel time significantly. Even though with New Game Plus, we're still getting the odd tutorial here and there.
Ask about that.
They will luckily go away pretty soon. I was actually thinking about maybe I should just try go back there on New Game and try to get rid of them, see if that would help, but I keep forgetting about it. Quickly, let's go over the interface. You've probably seen it in the top right. That is our Nightrooks count, basically the experience or the currency that we're having. We're having a lot of it. We basically won't be spending any of this because we have maximum level. We basically have the maximum amount of items for pretty much everything. We have maxed out weapons, so we are in a pretty good start here right off the bat. Now, these guys are a little bit annoying because this game, being a Metroidvania, it has... It actually doesn't have contact damage, luckily. However, with these guys, if you touch them in any way, shape or form, they do this explosion which knocks you back. And because they are over these spiky pits, which are instant kill, by the way, you would just get knocked down into the pit and instantly die. So we actually have to go ahead and hit them to, destroy them. But it takes a second or so for them to actually explode, so you're just standing there twiddling your thumbs, watching the timer tick away until that actually happens. Other than that, top left corner, of course, the red bar is our health. The blue bar is our mana, which we would use to power our magic abilities, because there, of course, are spells in the game. And then the little thin bar underneath that is kind of blue-ish, is our power bar, which we will use for a couple of other abilities that I will get into a little bit later in the run. And then we also have our stigma, which is the big symbol in the top left corner. It's basically like a special sub-weapon that you can use for... At the moment we have the... I kind of forget actually what the name is, but lets us parry enemy attacks. There is another one that basically has a shield so we can block attacks, or one that actually would speed up your attack speed, which would be hugely useful during a run like this, but it's way out of the way to get it, and like right at the end, so you could use it only for like one boss fight or two, and it's really not worth it to go for it, sadly. Underneath that, again, top left corner, still the 30. That is the amount of bullets that we have, because this being a, not Bloodborne clone, but heavily inspired by Bloodborne, of course you're gonna have like ranged weapons. You actually accidentally saw me shoot the cannons there before using the save point. And then in the bottom left corner, you have my equipped items. From left to right, we have the ranged weapon, or the secondary weapon. Could also be a spell. Then the items in the middle, and on the right is the weapon we have equipped. The game actually has 17 different weapons that you can use, ranging all the way from short swords, great swords, the scythe that we have gauntlets, we have whips. So there is quite a few weapons that you can go ahead and try out, but so far we have found that the scythe is basically the best all-around weapon, and you will keep seeing why that is. But yeah, this is the city of Mithrangal. You could probably tell like it's very reminiscent of Yharnam in a way. Like if you were to play Bloodborne on this side by side, you can definitely see like the inspiration that they took from everything that was Bloodborne related. Which comes with a caveat that you do not have like an Estus flask-like system. You actually have like your blood vials that you use for healing. So if you run out because you keep dying to a boss fight and you keep using your healing items, you would have to go ahead and buy more or farm more, which I found very interesting because, on the one hand, so many people are clamoring for like a Bloodborne remake, port, whatever. And then this game basically has the same kind of systems, and the developers got absolutely blasted for this particular kind of system because people were just so tired of, the boss fights being hard and they running out of healing items, having to go back to farm them. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I get it, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like part of the, Bloodborne-esque experience, so I'm not really sure what people were expecting.
Yeah, I think there's definitely people with rose-tinted glasses that look at Bloodborne, but I think actually Blood Vials are one of the things that are criticized the most often. Like, it's very satisfying to use it in combat because it's so quick, but the resource generation in terms of having to farm them or buy them, I think that's frustrating to players.
Absolutely. Like, especially because, this being like a Souls game in its DNA, kinda, you are expected to die a lot, especially against the bosses, and it can be quite frustrating if, you start running out of healing items, but you were this close to beating the boss, and then you have to
take a break.
Interrupt your attempts at the boss to actually go ahead and farm for those items again. So I do understand the criticism. It's just, I don't know, like when I play Bloodborne, like I'm kinda, I have played Bloodborne, I'm kinda used to doing that, and then just seeing that feedback from so many other people was like, that's kind of interesting in a way. But yeah, our goal at the moment is to hit like these 3 big buttons that or not big buttons, these chains to open that gate you see me doing there. This is the 3rd one, which will allow us to go into the next big area of the game. I've actually noticed I've started taking quite a bit of damage here, so I probably will use a moment to go ahead and heal that real quick. Because the thing is, yes, there are a lot of these save points you see around here, like this one right here. However, I don't really want to go ahead and activate a lot of these because that would load up the teleport list. But I kind of want this lean and lanky so the menuing later on doesn't take as long to get through. I could, of course, do this for safety's sake, so I don't have to backtrack like a whole lot, because this game doesn't have an autosave or anything like that. If you were to quit out of the game, it would put you back at the last save point, and, basically you lose all of your progress in between the save points. It's playing it a little bit, fast and risky here. Let's see how it pays off.
I've noticed for movement you're also using some kind of tech.
Yes, this is basically like your normal dodge roll. But that's like one of the big differentiator between this and, say, the other Soulsborne games. It doesn't have a stamina bar. So you are not constricted by having to actively manage your stamina. You can just attack however much you want and just really keep the aggression going, but also dodge almost as much as you want. Like if you see me dodge rolling, it kind of has a bit of a cooldown of like a second or a half a second or something. And that is why we do the dodge roll, because, it is kind of fast to do that. And then just go ahead and cancel that out with the jump to keep the momentum of the dodge roll going forward. And by the time we have landed, we can basically go ahead and dodge roll again. And that just basically is the fastest movement that we can have to, well, go through the area, so go fast. Now this is actually a forced combat encounter. Forgot about the little guy over here. Okay, there we go. Actually, kind of getting low on health.
Yeah, good thing.
And he hit a lot. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a Soulsborne-like game, so even you have like a massive health bar at the top there, it can get shredded pretty easily.
Yeah, for being max level in New Game Plus.
Yes.
Yeah. At the start of the game.
Yes. Like this is basically like the 3rd area or so that you're getting into, and you can kind of already see, like your health, not that long. Also, instant death traps. If I'm underneath any of these press machines there, you just instantly die. There's nothing you can do. So I'm kind of want to take this a little bit safe here. Also, another quirk that the game has, and you see me try to do that most of the time, if there's like a screen transition when I go through a door, like right here, I usually want to roll through this. And the reason is that it's like a quirk in the programming that the movement that you use to go through a door kind of gets carried into the next screen. So if I roll through here, you see I start way further into the screen, and over a course of like an hour and a half or so, there's a lot of screen transition, so this starts adding up. However, if you do that down there, it puts you so far into the room that you are immediately under that pressure and you get immediately punched. So, also, nice thing, you saw my health go down there because you are not invulnerable while any of these cutscenes are happening. So you have to be mindful of that you don't just get eradicated while this is going on. I'm not gonna use a health here because there is actually just a save point right around the corner that we do want to use. So we're gonna do that because there is a little boss fight coming up. I can change this. Light my weapon on fire, and then we're just gonna head and absolutely shred these guys. Now we want to try and get them to bunch up so we can hit both of them with like one attack. If they turn red like that, that means I have put the fire blight on them, and you can kind of see take fire damage sporadically. Which, you know, is not a lot, but it starts adding up over time. Now I kind of don't want to have them be in the air because that takes a bit of time. But it was an okay fight. They kind of bunched up a bit, but they also were like in the air, honestly, a lot actually. Which means I have to do the jump attack, which is obviously slower than me just wailing on them while they are on the ground with the special attack. One thing we have to keep in mind of that is, of course, the mana, like the big blue bar in the top there, because every attack from the special uses a little bit of mana. Which doesn't matter too much, like at the start of the run, or the start of the game rather, where the enemy or the bosses don't have that much health yet, but that will of course quickly increase. Like especially the boss that is coming up right here is like the first big hurdle in the game. So that was the wrong item. Do I not have the electric stuff? Oh, I should have.
Please no.
So this is Dr. Ridley Herman. Like I said, he's like the first real roadblock that you have to get through while you're doing the speedrun. Because he is a bit of a B-word. Like he actually, if you just really analyze his moveset, it isn't that elaborate. Like it's really easy to predict, like really heavily photographed, but it can still really catch you off guard because this is not far into the game yet. So you might still be struggling with the game mechanics a little bit. What will happen is sometimes the enemies will get staggered. It's kind of like, you know, you probably know that from Elden Ring, where you like heal over and you have to hit the weak point like that. It kind of emulates that. It happens at like the specific points of their health bar, and it just deals a bunch of damage. So you always want to try and go for that when that happens.
Nice.
Like but of course, this being a bit of a bastard, he has a second phase. Because of course he does. No wait, that was the wrong item again. Do I not have it equipped? I thought I had it equipped. So, second phase of the fight, he of course gains a couple new attacks. Gotta be careful for him. But yeah, like the early game bosses, they have like very long recovery phases like this where you can just absolutely wail on them and make quick work of them. But keep in mind, we're playing on New Game Plus, right? So we wouldn't have this weapon. You would have weapons that have definitely not as much damage output as we are having access to right now. So the fight would take quite a bit longer. The New Game Plus category is roughly
Eric.
10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. Oh no, wait, that would be the any percent category. No, it's actually like faster, but like it's 20 minutes or so over like probably a new game, any percent run from the start. So you can kind of see how much faster the fights are going on New Game Plus compared to New Game.
So you're talking about having some electric stuff equipped. Does that mean different bosses also have different resistances to different elements?
They do.
Okay. Cool.
It's not completely mapped out because I'm kind of like the only really active runner for this game, and you know, it's a lot of stuff to figure out. But that is, you have like 5, you know, you have physical attacks, like obviously that go against the physical resistance. Then you saw me use fire, there's electricity, ice, dark, and blood. And they also do different blights, basically like status effects. Obviously, you saw me use fire where the enemies like turn red like that and they take periodic fire damage. Electricity periodically stuns the enemies. It isn't applicable to a lot of the bigger bosses, like the monster-like bosses you saw me fight so far, but the more humanoid bosses are kind of susceptible to it, so we want to use it then. Ice is kind of the same thing. I don't want to say it's completely useless against bosses themselves, but because you still deal a bit more damage. The problem is that the ice effect itself does not get triggered, because it would kind of be a bit OP if you would actually freeze like a boss and it wouldn't be able to move for like multiple seconds. The dark effect is pretty interesting, because what that does is it deals a little bit of periodical damage, kind of like fire. But it also regenerates your MP whenever you hit the boss or the enemy that is inflicted by. So you can kind of use it to refill your mana at will, which is kind of nice. And then lastly, there is the blood effect, which basically heavily debuffs the enemy's defense. And that is what we're obviously trying to apply a little bit later to the bosses. However, they are all kind of really resistant to a lot of the status blights. There are specific bosses that are obviously very weak to elements. One of them is coming up again, but especially the later ones, it gets really hard, if not impossible, to actually inflict the blight. So you still want to use them just to exploit the elemental weakness of them, but you probably won't be seeing the blight itself. Like, there is a fun little thing that you could have done. Well, I'm not even sure if you could do it anymore. At least I was not able to do that anymore. But you could skip the whole section that I'm doing right now. Ever since I dropped down there from the save point, we could have skipped all of this right here, which is like a 2-minute section of me going around by doing what we call a Jimmy jump. The Jimmy jump is named after not necessarily the guy who actually found out about the trick. I sadly cannot remember the name of that person. I am so sorry. But he made us speedrunners aware of it, and then another runner by the name of Jimmy Diamonds was the one that like really put in the work to figure out how it worked, and we then went ahead and named it after him because there was a lot more work put into the trick itself. But what it essentially does is, if you kind of buffer your jump after an attack, what happens if you gain a little bit more height on your jump? You can basically do a mini double jump, if you will. And you gain enough height to grab a ladder that would be used as a shortcut later on in the section here. And you were able to skip all of what I'm doing right now. And it saves roughly like 2 minutes. There are more applications like that throughout the game. However, it is very finicky to use. I think it has been patched with the release of the DLC and New Game Plus, so it's not applicable right here. But it's over the course of the whole game, I want to say you save probably like 5 minutes-ish or so. No, that's not. That is absolutely the wrong item to use at that. Oh my god.
So you just use something like a dark sign that took you to the last checkpoint? Okay.
Yes. So, well, I'm gonna just show you again. So what we could do here, like this is where you would do the Jimmy jump.
Oh,
you reach
ladder,
this little ladder thing and grab onto this. And I was nearly at the other side. So this was like the worst kind of moment to use that particular item. It just had to happen right there. I just, in case you weren't paying attention, I just wanted to show you it again, of course. It was all planned for. But we were literally at the point where the shortcut would have been enabled, so, yeah. Fun thing. But that is also like an item that they really introduced with the DLC, like that dark sign, as you call it. I kind of forgot actually the name, what it is in the game right now. Something like a pocket watch. Got introduced with the DLC. It wasn't there yet, but it adds like so much convenience to the game because this being a Metroidvania, there are like a lot of stuff that you are going to backtrack for. So just having like a quick access back to the save points is just like really nice. It just cuts some
directly into fast travel. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Back on track. I swear to God.
I don't think that was the right item to use either.
It is, but at the wrong distance.
Oh, man. So we blew ourselves up with the barrels.
Oh, God. It just had to happen during a marathon. Oh, my Lord.
Classic.
So what happens there in this particular room is you obviously saw all these barrels in the background here, which are, as we have established now, very, very dangerous. So you kind of want to use the cannon to blow up the barrels like in the middle, because there is an enemy there, or a couple enemies, that will make use of the barrels against you. So you kind of want to stand back a little bit and use the cannon to blow all of them up in the middle, killing the enemy in the process. So because you have to push like a block into a proper position so you can continue. Obviously, while you are pushing or pulling the block, the enemies will use that opportunity to attack you. So we want to get rid of them. I just kind of got rid of me instead, which not as smart a move, you would want to say. Still good. So let's actually lock in here. Use it from a bit of far away. That's a better shot. Yeah, that is what is supposed to happen.
Nice.
Okay, we are merely out of the game because you can see these guys throwing these bombs. And just to make clear, like if we go up here to the right, that would lead back to the save point that we have been using and the little ladder that you saw me. Yeah, the shortcut there, which we are intentionally ignoring because surely it won't happen a third time, right?
It's a good start. Getting blown down.
I swear to God, if this happens again. But yeah, what we're basically doing in the script here is we have to drop down 2 blocks. This is the first one. To solve like a little puzzle down there. And what I'm actually gonna do here, just for safety, I'm gonna drop this ladder just in case anything bad happens again. So we don't have to do the whole shebang up there again. But yeah, we're now just making our way back around and making our way over to the second block.
So my question that I had is, are the rooms consistent? Like, for example, the traps and stuff? Yeah, so you know exactly what's going to be happening.
Exactly. There is, like, no real RNG if it, like, the room gets basically activated when you enter them. So if you have, like, the same movement through the rooms, you always know where the enemies are going to be and what's going to happen. So you can really just plan for it and, yeah.
And re-entering rooms does not respawn enemies, or does it do that?
No, it's basically like the whole Dark Souls thing where you have to use a save point and that respawns then.
Cool.
So yeah, it's not like other Metroidvanias in that case. It really leans more into the whole Dark Souls DNA when it comes to that. It's also not doing the Dark Souls 2 thing where if you kill like the enemies like 15 times in a row or something, that would despawn them forever. The enemies are just constantly respawning whenever you use a save point. Or, well, you get killed and, you know, are forced to use a save point at that point. And it also uses that thing like all of these save point altars are fast travel options. So whenever you activate them, you can always go back to them. It's not only like specific bonfires or something that you go from.
They only used in DS1.
Yeah.
So, they got kind of rid of that.
Yeah.
Is there full damage in the game?
No.
Okay.
There is not.
Okay.
So you can literally fall down from everywhere and you are totally fine with that. But there are also not that many options where you will fall down that. The only thing that will happen is if you take like a long fall, you are kind of stuck into this crouching position for a moment where you have to regain
we saw that a few
your
times.
footing kind of after doing like the Superman fall, the superhero stunt thing. But that's about it.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that. Obviously, there are bottomless pits. You have to worry about those, but that is a whole different, exactly, like a whole different kind of beast there. But yeah, you can kind of see if you just walk along these enemies, there really isn't like a lot of dangerous things. Like there are some of these electrical dudes that can be a little bit dangerous with their like boomerang things that like attach to the ground, and you have to be careful of that getting in your way. But it's like really rare if you just keep on walking like that. Now our objective here is to collect these 2 skulls so we can slot them into the indentations you see in the background there. We got the first one just now, so we are now on our way to the second one. So you can kind of see that here, you know, you are locked into that animation. So ideally you would want to hold on to the ladder there just before you hit the ground and then jump off of that just to cancel that out. But it saves like, I don't know, fractions of a second in perspective. Because obviously grabbing onto the ladder loses you a little bit of time, then you have to let go and jump off, and it's like, do what you want, basically. A little bit of a puzzle there. There is like a plaque that you can read at the top of this, which gives you the hint on how to solve this particular riddle, but you basically just go counterclockwise from the lower right side, so it's pretty simple to do. And that will be the second Veiled Shade. So now we're going into the Advent boss fight. Now normally you would have to backtrack from here, but with the invention of this thing, we can just walk back to the last save point, make ourselves battle ready, and then enter from technically the wrong side. We would come back from the left side if we didn't have that item, which you wouldn't have at this point in the game. because you would need the next progression item that we're getting after this fight. It's just, you know, a New Game Plus convenience because we already have it. And this guy is certainly the next big roadblock for a lot of players when they come here, because he has just a lot of health. He doesn't have the most elaborate moveset, but it just takes a while to whittle down his massive health bar. Thankfully, he is very susceptible to fire. So as long as you have a couple fire powders to put on your weapon, his health bar goes by pretty quickly. At half health, he breaks the floor like that and you fall down. He still takes damage during this animation, so you can just keep wailing on it a little bit. However, it's like heavily reduced. If you compare the numbers to what we did before, I deal like a fraction of the damage right now. So it's not worth that much to attack him, but you know, every little bit helps to just replenish your mana and then just keep hitting him again. Obviously, attack patterns change a little bit in Phase 2, like that. It adds a couple more elements to the thing, but in essence, it stays pretty much the same as before.
Yeah, that was a nice fight. Looked very clean.
Yeah, that was pretty good, definitely. But it's also like thing like if you know the movements of the enemies, obviously it makes it a lot easier. Like he actually, I mean, that you can probably attest to. Like there are attacks from the bosses in those games that can just completely screw you, because obviously you cannot always predict what they're gonna do. It's not set in stone. You can just get screwed by RNG, and they're gonna use something that just takes up a lot of time, and you just have to, you know, walk around the enemy until you give the you know, the good opportunity to go ahead and attack them. He was very amenable to our speedrun plights here, though, because he definitely has like an attack where he was like a whirlwind kind of deal, and he latches to one of the screen, and the whirlwind just sucks you in on the other side, and you have to dodge a couple of projectiles, and there's nothing you can do with it. You're just stuck in this attack cycle for like 20 seconds or so, and it's like, please let me hit you again, let this be over. But no. But yeah, we now got the grappling hook. With that, we can latch onto these yeah, like wall ornaments or what have you, which lets us go, you know, on our way. Because this is a Metroidvania, obviously we're going to be picking up not necessarily a lot of progression items, I want to say. There is the gravity ring we got at the start after Herman, which lets us push and pull these stone blocks. Now we have the grappling hook. Obviously, there's going to be a double jump at some point. But for now, we are on our way to the city of Erlen, which will be the next big part of the run, and where we will pick up another progression item. But first, we have to get through this swamp. Thankfully, it's not poisonous, so no Blighttown reference or anything there. So you can kind of just make your way through this. However, that doesn't mean that the enemies are any less deadly along the way, because they can deal a lot of damage here.
I guess you can't roll in the swamp as well? Okay.
Like it just heavily slows you down. If you were to try and walk through this, you kind of see this. They actually changed it a little bit with the release of the DLC, because in the vanilla version, so to speak, if you were in the swamp border, it would also drastically reduce your attack speed. It doesn't do that anymore. It only slows your movement. But in the speedrun setting where you only want to get through that fast, it's still as bad as it was before. So that particular change at least doesn't affect us as much. But yeah, you can obviously see there's a lot of items that I just leave behind, either because they're just normal pickups or other collectibles that you just don't need to get through the game itself. Now this thing right here, that's like a temporary checkpoint. Obviously there is no fast travel available to these, but if you were to die, you would just reset there instead of the last altar that you visited. It's the nice thing though is if you actually die, you can select where you want to revive, like either at the last big altar or the temporary one. So you do have that option depending on what you need. Yeah, it's like a couple of treacherous pits here that we do not want to fall in. Now, these guys can be an absolute bane of your existence, because you kind of see the weapon they're using. It's kind of like a harpoon thingy, and it deals a lot of knockback damage, which can absolutely drop you in those pits there. We're gonna switch our weapon here real quick
Take heed
to use a little bit of a skip here. You can kind of see it in a moment. Just line this up. That was a bit too much. Just just do this.
Nice.
We can just survive. Like, obviously, you have to drop down, and then you have to go all the way to the left side, and then come back to here, and then you have to go back to the left side again, but, you know, another level up, and just kind of skip, like, the whole thing. And it saves, like, I want to say roughly a minute. So there's a neat little skip that you can use with... You would actually even have on a new game run this weapon by this point, so you can basically always do this on all of the playthroughs of this, but it's just a neat little trick that you can do.
No.
So that's the special attack of that weapon?
Yes, that is a special attack of the weapon. Like, you saw me use the Severance Reaper special attack a whole lot so far against the bosses. Let me actually go ahead and, yeah, switch for that one right now. Each weapon has obviously different attack patterns, different special attacks, and that was from the Ethereal Great Blade, which is like the Great Sword, which is this massive jump that lets you cover quite a bit of distance. There's actually another application to that they sadly patched out that you can only do on like the 1.0 version of the game. But I will still try and show it off because it's really cool. Obviously it won't work, but I will show you where we would use it, I should say. So this is like one of the humanoid enemies, or bosses, I should say, the Starborn Night Hunter. And it's kind of a mirror match. Like, he actually uses a weapon that you yourself can use. And he is one of the most nimble enemies in the game, for sure. So he's also like, you know, you only use like the big bosses so far, so he kind of catches you a bit off guard in that regard when you fight him. So he's a whole different threat. However, as you saw here, you can inflict electricity on him, which periodically stuns him. As long as it doesn't stun him during animation where he would have iframes, you can actually keep damaging him. But that's kind of something that you can't control, so if it does stun him during animation where he has iframes, there's just nothing you can do about it. You're just looking at it like, yeah, that could have been a damage window.
That's kind of funny.
But sadly, it was not. Switching weapons back here. Hello? Thank you. Nope. Okay. Ah, wait, no, I just want to show this off real quick. So I'm gonna take basically an intentional death here. So this is the Esk Mansion, and you see that elevator over there to the left. That is the end of this mansion. And we will gain an ability to basically cross this gap. In the 1.0 version, what you could do here, you could like really edge yourself to here and then use the special ability of the Greatsword to skip this gap, go grab the item, and you would be completely done with this whole area. Now, if you are doing this now, you kinda just can't do it anymore. They like increase the gap by just this little bit that you can't get it anymore, sadly. It saves about 15 to 20 minutes or so, which we are like really sad about that, you know, that is not possible anymore. But it's like basically the single biggest skip that was in the game.
Yeah, it's always the problem with like newly released games that are still getting new content, is that like some of the best stuff might be on the original version, but then you also want to play with the new content, right? And do speedruns with the new weapons and stuff like that. So then you're kind of stuck with the current version that already patched a lot of the cool glitches out.
Like, there are definitely, you know, ways to downpatch the game, but as you said, you wouldn't have access to New Game Plus or anything of the new things. And it's like, it was okay-ish as long as the DLC wasn't released, because there was only like bug fixes or something. So you weren't like worried about that too much. It was still fun to do that on a version, but yeah, now with the DLC released, it's like, yeah, it's just gone, man. You know, like, get on with it and do the new content. So yeah, what we have to do here is we have to go through this mansion and collect a total of 4 mirror pieces, which we will need to put into that big mirror you saw me pass by just before I did that big failed jump there to open a portal. Basically, that will take us to the boss of the area and to the progression ID that we will get from there. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and move through these different areas. I'm not getting bullied too hard here. Grabbing a couple levers and grabbing these shards. Like, this is like mostly like a bit of the puzzle area, I want to say. Having to do... You can actually tackle this in any order you want to. You saw me put that shard into one of the mirrors, which opened like this portal to this area. There were like a total of 2 others that I could have put it in there, and you're basically free to do these in whatever order you want to. It's just, we just go from right to left because that is the order that they're kind of in there. this room again. Like this fire laser thing just deals a lot of damage if you keep standing into it, so you kind of want to get out of it as quickly as you can. There are a couple of forced combat rooms here. None of them are really too bad. I don't want to use the Severance Reaper, like the big scythe that I've used for the bosses here, simply because I wouldn't have all the mana to, kill the bosses with a special attack. I could, of course, refill it, but that would also just take time again, so we're just gonna go ahead and use the fist weapon, because it's the fastest weapon in the game. It got introduced with the DLC, and it actually has pretty good, like, hit stun, but also just damage output. As you can see, it's kind of smashing through these guys with a reckless abandon. So it kind of does the same thing as the special attack of the Severance Reaper, however, just a little bit slower, but against the normal enemies at least it doesn't matter as much. So that was the second mirror shot piece. This is the room with the mirrors. I can go through these, like I said, in any order I want to. It's just the order that I chose to do, I guess. It doesn't really matter. Quick health refill, and then didn't make the jump quite as well. But this is like a very important item that we're picking up here, which is a prototype blueprint. And what this allows us to do is, obviously you can upgrade your weapons like up to +10. However, you can't just do that with the upgrade materials that you find. You also are locked in by these blueprints. So for example, we found Mariano in Mithrangal earlier, who is the guy that lets you upgrade your weapons. At the start, however, he will only upgrade your weapons, no matter how many materials you have, up to a maximum of +2. And with this blueprint now, he will be able to upgrade our weapons to a maximum of +5. And then, of course, there are more blueprints that will let us upgrade them to +8, and then a third one to finally +10, which, of course, is the maximum upgrade.
I see, so it's kind of like Embers in Dark Souls, basically.
Yeah, where you had to find the Embers, I think they were called.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me that the upgrades don't carry over, though, to New Game Plus. So we started with +0 weapons.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, they kind of do. If you check it, it is +10. However, what they did with the upgrades here is, you might have caught up on that I picked up another item that they newly introduced with the DLC. I actually kind of forget what the name of it is. But the way that upgrading in the different New Game Plus cycles is, because this game is basically an endlessly increasing amount of New Game Pluses that always get harder and harder. So what they let you do is, actually, just go ahead and show it off here. Because it's teleport anyway, so perfect opportunity for that. They introduced this altar, and you can strengthen your weapons at the moon altar. So what we're gonna do is, wait, actually, there's a Severance Reaper. Does it show the item here? Yeah, there it is, the Labradorite gemstone in the upper left corner. I can now upgrade this to a moon Severance Reaper. Actually, I want to do that with the gauntlets as well while we're at it. And then this will take this level, this item, sorry, basically to +10 already. So you don't have to upgrade it in every single New Game Plus cycle. And now I can go ahead and upgrade it again to +10, and it will keep increasing in strength. So you can keep up with continuously harder New Game Plus cycles. And that is kind of interesting and a bit of a deviation of how, the Soulsborne series handled it in that regard. I haven't really tested out a lot of the higher New Game Plus cycles just yet. It might be something that I might do in the future. But that basically allows you to have a fighting chance, because, again, it doesn't have a scaling cap on the enemies and the bosses. So if you're only able to upgrade your weapons to +10, on your first playthrough, and then you are on, like, let's say New Game Plus 20, yeah, it would be pretty hard to get through that if you wouldn't be able to, keep increasing your strength as well, because obviously you also level capped. As soon as your stats are at 99, there's just nothing you can do anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Souls, it stops after New Game Plus 7, where the enemies don't scale up anymore. And if you mod the game to make them scale anyway, the only way to kind of deal with it is basically percentage damage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you cannot upgrade your weapons further. So it's cool to see that the devs thought of something to add to this.
Absolutely. But as you can still imagine, you know, there is no way to mitigate the damage or to increase your health further. So after a couple of New Game Plus cycles, like basically everything will be one-shot city. So it definitely will test your abilities in that regard. And I think it really depends on how much punishment you can take for these kind of challenges where you will just tap out at a certain New Game Plus. So it's like, okay, yeah, that is how much I can take and how long I want these boss fights to last. And I just leave it at that. The only downside to this is there is sadly no way to decrease the New Game Plus level, you know, to go back like in a cycle, which I think they should have also implemented if they were going to a system of that, just to, you know, you can continuously have that challenge, but I don't know, maybe that is something that they will think of or implement a little bit later. I mean, as I said, the game came out at roughly the end of 2023, and we got this DLC now at the start of 2026. And there was like basically nothing in between other than a couple of balance patches and stuff. So, you know, there is the glimmer of hope that they might give us something else or something a bit more in between at some point. But yeah, we now have all of the shards. That means it is boss fighting time. So now we actually come here. Put all of the shards that we have into this. Don't ask me how it works, because we just use all the other shards on, you know, the other mirrors that we passed. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But yeah, we have a duo boss fight time because, of course, we have to have that. I think it's like, you know, a staple of these series by now that you have to have like an increasingly hard fight against two bosses at once, because one just doesn't cut it anymore at this point. And this is Igor and Lena. You can kind of see what that deal is, I guess. Like one of is fire-based, the other is electricity-based. And then they do fun things like this. I'm gonna dodge the attacks a little bit. Go over.
Yeah, so one of them seems ranged, the other one melee as well.
Exactly. You kind of want to deal with the Igor first, because I personally at least think he is the more annoying one out of the two at least. And also more stationary. So he's just easier to hit and get rid of. So let's see if we can actually do this real quickly. There we go. Now Lena powers up a bit. And there is actually, like I haven't found a consistent setup for it, but if you kill Jaeger at like a specific point, I want to say, you can kind of bug out Lena's AI, and she just keeps standing in one corner for quite a while, and you can just wail on her, and she doesn't, you know, jump from one side to the other as much. And it saves quite a significant amount of time. So if anybody has found a consistent setup for that, please message me. But other than that, you kind of just chase her around a bit across the area here. Like, you saw me use these explosive arrows that you shoot on the ground that you can actually pull out and throw back at her. It's a bit finicky, because you can't just wait for the attack. You have to grab the one that is closest to her and do it really quickly, because if you take ones that are further in the back, she will actually just jump over it, and you just miss the huge damage window there. What we just picked up there is a Nightcrux, or yeah, there we go, Heart of Nightcrux, which you can kind of think of as the Lord Souls of Dark Souls 1, like the big things that we are after to be able to progress into the end game later on. And now we got the propulsion boots, and you kind of saw me use them already. They are the air dash of the game, and this is you know, where we finally come back to this point of the game. So yeah, all of that we just did in the match, we could have skipped all of that if the game would, you know, still allow for it. But sadly, well, it doesn't. So we actually had to go ahead and do the match. But yeah, this will be the last like movement type item for a while that we will be getting, but or not but, which also means that we technically have access to most of the game at this point. So what we will do is we will kind of go through, I want to say in the intended order, or at least what I think is supposed to be the intended order, but because it kind of has the the enemy scaling that would make sense for the areas to have to tackle next.
I see, and this is where we're using the dash now, so if we came here earlier, we wouldn't have been able to pass
it would exactly at the start, you would not be able to progress into this area like at all. So kind of like, yeah, no, you're not allowed in here, just come back. The interesting thing with that is, like, this was really natural. Like, you picked up on that, like, immediately. It's like, oh yeah, okay, you need the air dash to close that gap. So I probably should go back and explore somewhere else first before coming here. The interesting part with that particular thing is, they kind of did, I want to say, like a big oopsie with that at some point that a lot of people criticized, and for good reason. If you think back a little bit earlier in the run when we fought against Herman, we got the gravity ring, which allows us to push and pull these blocks. What it did when we got the ring, it did show us a little cutscene where we saw this tombstone in Mithrangal for no particular reason, you might think. It was a very short cutscene. And that was added specifically to show you that no, you are supposed to go back to that monument with the gravity ring and insert it in there, which opened up the way through the caverns and into the crypt where we fought against Edwin, because that is the progression that you should do. However, if you explored the map a little bit further at this point and go back to Oxniville Mansion, like the hub area where you can level up, and you use the back exit, you'll find one of these blocks. So a lot of people are like, okay, I have this gravity ring now. I cannot move these blocks, so maybe I should go back there and explore from there. And you've noticed, I have not been in that area yet because it is a very high-level area. And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, no, this is totally where I need to go. They go to that area and it's basically one-shot city all throughout because you are absolutely not supposed to go there. But people didn't find this monument to, insert the ring instead of using the ability that it gives you. And that prompted the developer to insert this little cutscene to show people, no, please, please go there to try and progress. Because even I missed this when I casually played it. I was just hard luck for like an evening and I didn't figure out where I needed to go because it just wasn't very clearly communicated.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the dangers if you basically disregard like classic key items that just open up certain doors and stuff. Yes.
Like if you have a look at that monument by pressing the intake button, like it gives you like a cryptic hint that oh there's an indentation. I should put something in there. I was like, yeah, okay, that could be anything, really. It could just be flavor text for all that people care about at that point, right? So it's like a bit of a disconnect, I want to say, between like game design and player behavior. And I still think it's kind of there. Like, I don't know, like personally, I would just put one of these blocks over that entrance to the side cave and make it more distinct, I guess. It's a bit of a band-aid fix for sure, but it might just, communicate it more clearly through gameplay elements with the player that know this is what you're supposed to do here. Because the amount of just lost players, like where am I supposed to go? I'm in this icy area now. After defeating Herman, I can't progress because I just keep dying overall. It was a lot. It was a lot. But yeah, we're not having that problem. We're speedrunners. We know where we should go. So we're just making our way through Liturgical Pass here, which is like kind of the fire area. You saw these statues that emit these ominous sounds. And what kind of happens is, you might have caught it like in the upper left corner actually, that the fire status bar is filling as long as I'm close to them, because they are actually putting you literally on fire if you keep standing close to them. And fire kind of shreds your health pretty quickly around here, so you don't want to hang around these statues for too long. So it kind of just really, keeps you on the move, like quite literally. Now, obviously, speedrunners, we are not hanging around for a long time here anyway, so it doesn't concern us too much. Changing items real quick. Yeah, that is okay. And then we're into the next boss fight, and this boss actually has a cutscene preceding it, so you know she means business. This is the Burned Apostate. I keep saying this about pretty much every boss fight, I feel like, but yeah, another big roadblock, because she is definitely the most tanky boss that we have fought up to this point. Obviously, a very fire-based boss, so you know that she is taking increased damage to ice. Funny thing, you can just duck under this. Oh no, she did not twice in a row. Normally she does the launch like twice in a row, and you can just duck under it. It's kind of nice to show off. But yeah, you know, big boss, obviously. Second phase coming up. Well, she now is a lot more fiery. I mean, she is the burned apostate, you know, the moniker has to come from somewhere. I hate this attack so much. Now this attack is great. She's just standing in place and lets me wail on her. Please more of that. And yeah, as you can kind of see, the Severance Reaper, like, you know, the Scythe, you are literally death incarnate with that thing. Because just the amount of attacks and how quickly they go, it absolutely shreds bosses to death. One thing of note, though, is with the elemental powders that I have been using to, you know, put elements on my weapons. It only works, I think it's kind of actually similar to Dark Souls in that regard, that it only works on weapons that don't have an inherent element. So like if you have like a fire elemental weapon, you wouldn't be able to buff that with any other elemental, you know, appliance item.
Yep. That makes sense.
So the Severance Reaper is a wholly physical-based weapon, and that is why I'm able to use, you know, these elemental powders on it. There are actually not that many weapons. I've said there are 17, you know, primary weapons, melee weapons in the game, and I think like only 5 of them are completely physical, and the rest of them all have like, you know, inherent elements to them. This is where you find the rare blueprint, and as I said before, we are now able to upgrade our weapons to +8, and that is exactly what we are. Hello, thank you. Gonna do here, give Mariano the thing. And then quickly upgrade our arsenal here. And then we are back to adventuring. And now we are going to the ice area that we talked a little bit before just now. Because this is like very inconspicuous to find, you know, you just use the back exit to the manor, and there is the block. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, let me just go back to the hub area of the game and pull this block and explore over there. I mean, this looks kind of nice and cozy. And then this guy comes along, and he takes off like, you know, half your health bar in a hit when you come here on New Game. I was like, it's kind of weird, like there is a huge jump in difficulty all of a sudden, what's going on? And this being an ice area, of course, you have these icicles, you have ice physics, you now very quickly have bombs you have to traverse with, which is also a very nice thing. You see these icicles, of course, they deal damage when you touch them. And then you have these bombs, and you have to use these bombs to get rid of these barriers right here at specific points. However, the thing with these bombs is they're very fragile. They explode as soon as you take damage, and you have to traverse like a gauntlet of enemies with them, and it's like, it's a lot to take in all of a sudden, and you're just wondering, okay, where is this increase in difficulty coming from? And it's like, because you went to the wrong area. So it really is just this trap. I know I keep hopping on about it, maybe a little bit too much, but it is just one thing that you have to be really aware of when you're playing this game casually for the first time, because just so many people ran into this exact dead end.
I mean, I think it's a very like gimmick to use like high-end areas close to a hub where you spend a lot of time. Like already something like Demon Souls kind of did that with the boss battle underneath the Nexus. So I think maybe that's where like the desire is coming from, but I exactly see the problems with the implementation.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the thing, you know, if you're like a bit of a min-maxer or you want to get like a really early game power boost, of course you want to come here, because these enemies give you way more of the Nightcrux, you know, the souls that you use for leveling up. So yes, you can absolutely come here if you can handle the difficulty to easily farm like a huge amount of Nightcrux and just, you know, give yourself a little power boost. But it definitely comes at a huge price to, I kind of want to call it accessibility at this point, because just so many players got confused because of that. Like maybe not necessarily the Souls players, like the Souls players just you kind of could see, okay, who's like a true Soulsborne veteran coming into this game and who isn't, because some people just kind of like sucked it up and powered their way through here. And others were just like, yeah, what the hell is going on right now? Like especially these Banshees, they have like an ice laser that can shoot at you, which just instantly shreds you to pieces. Incidentally, they are also the enemies that give the most Nightcrux right here, so you kind of want to farm these. especially because there's a save point right down this elevator. So you can really use this to give you that power boost. Now the funny thing is there is actually another secret area right down that elevator that pits you against an optional super boss kind of guy that you can also reach from the start because it doesn't have the prerequisite of any of the other things. So a lot of people find that boss, die against them 1,000 times. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? And again, there is this gap here that you need the propulsion booster. So there is a hard progression lock, like right here, which is like deep into this ice area. It's like, Okay, sorry, enough about that. Incidentally, this guy is like a bit of a pushover. Like, he is more like a normal enemy that has been a bit souped up to pose a bit of a boss challenge, I guess. Because funny thing is, in this area specifically, there are like 4 secret rooms that you can visit to get like a really, really powerful katana-like weapon. Which incidentally kind of got me into speedrunning this game, because of course it did. But he actually showed up as like a quote-unquote normal enemy in one of those gauntlets as well. I think they kind of actually patched him out after a while, which I found was like a really interesting move on the developer's part. But yeah, so much for his boss status, I guess. But yeah, we're just making our way through this ice area for a little bit more. So we definitely have a bit of time for a donation or two.
Kath and Morgan donated $20.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, yeah, guys, keep donating. Like we said, we do have a donation incentive tied to this where we will fight or go for another ending, which means there will be one more boss fight at the end of the run. So, yeah, now make the run go for a little bit longer. Give us a bit more time to show off the last faith right here for the very first time.
Yeah, it sounds it's a little bit of a gimmick like in
Zanzibar
Bloodborne.
donated $3. You are forgiven.
Thank you, thank you. Sorry, you were saying.
No, I was just going to point out that maybe, to me, it sounds like the endings are a little bit of a gimmick like they did in Bloodborne, where basically when you make different choices, you end up fighting an extra boss or two.
Yes. It kind of follows that formula where if you're just playing through the game, you have like 2 choices at the end of the game. One is obviously the bad ending. I don't dare say the other one is the good ending, but you know these series, how the endings go, like none of them are like really ever good now, are they? And of course then there is the quote-unquote true ending that actually requires more input, where you actually have to find like secret items, you have to beat more bosses, and it's a lot more convoluted in its approach. And then you have to fight 2 more bosses at the end, basically.
Yeah, so it's basically like submitting to Gurman, beating Gurman, or fighting Moon Presence. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
But that would obviously mean like the run would definitely go a little bit a little bit longer because we would have to fight all of these extra bosses to get the items that we needed to trigger that ending. It's not quite the umbilical cords, it's eyes in this case, but yeah, same idea basically. So here in this village, you can kind of probably tell by this big-ass gate right here, so we have to find another 5 of these chains to be able to progress here. So there is a little bit of backtracking going on here where we explore the rest of the village to find those chains. Funny thing is, you probably saw it, like there are these ice storms going on. And whenever you are in an unprotected area, unprotected basically meaning that you are not in front of a house like this, you actually do take progressive ice damage. So you can mitigate that damage by actually having more ice resistance, which kind of pushed a lot of people into using a strength build, because putting points into strength incidentally also increases your ice resistance. Which is actually true for a lot of the other statuses as well. Like if you were to put more points into dexterity, it increases your fire resistance, which is very handy in like the liturgical pass where you find the burnt apostate because of the fire build up against the statues that are there.
Yeah, I think we can see the status effect build up in the top left.
Exactly. Yep. You can kind of see it like faded out a little bit, and then when the status like actually hits you, it has like the full icon basically. Opaque in front of it. But yeah, you can kind of see the experience, you know, shining through from this series itself.
Yeah, no, like obviously, like some of the core fundamental elements can carry over regardless if it's a 3D, 2D game, if it's Metroidvania or classic progression. Yeah,
Absolutely. But very soon, once we are out of this area, you can also kind of see the Castlevania inspiration come back a little bit more heavily in its approach. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now, because you will very easily see that. I'm pretty sure of that. Oh, go through, please. Also, another thing that I haven't really pointed out that much, but I think it's probably clear. You see, whenever I attack an enemy, you see the damage number popping up. And sometimes there is like this yellow strike-ish icon in front of it, and the number is a little bit bigger. It's a critical strike. You deal a varying amount of different damage depending on which weapon you're using. Like every weapon has like its own crit chance, like you saw one just right there. Its own crit chance and its own crit damage that it deals. There is really no way to increase that other by using charms, or I think they're actually called talismans. No, it's charms, which are like just items that you can equip that give you like passive bonuses, like the rings basically that you use in the Soulspawn series. There it is. Thank you. Change your weapon, please. Nope, that's not the one. And now we have Starborn Night Hunter part 2, I should say. He has a different weapon. He has the Storm Chaser Mace Whip. As you can see, it is a mace, and it can transform into an electric whip. It's quite a nice weapon. Not that useful, I think, when you have it necessarily. But it's, you know, nice to play around with a little bit. But he has like an expanded moveset over the Night Hunter that we fought earlier. And I think they are really reminiscent of the hunters that you play as in Bloodborne, with like the whole, you know, cape and mantle and whatever. Definitely a bit of a callback there. And yeah, this is the Stigma of Protection. We could swap that out for the Stigma that we have equipped at the moment, which allows us to parry enemy attacks, which would just summon that shield that he was using during the fight itself. I find both of these items a little bit underwhelming. I mean, I don't know how many or how prominent parries are in the Souls series, like at large. I definitely know you use them against, like, say, Gwyn in the original Dark Souls. The problem with the last Faith specifically is, especially bosses barely have any parryable attacks, so it completely falls flat in the boss fights. And even with the normal enemies, there are just a lot of attacks that you cannot parry. So it is nice that it is there. And it's kind of nice when you get it off, but there just isn't enough payoff, in my opinion, to make it worthwhile to use over, you know, a different item that you could use instead, or a different attack, I should say, to actually deal damage to the enemies. I don't know, do you use parrying a lot?
Well, yeah, I think it's the way you said it. It just depends on the enemies. Like, it can be useful on particular bosses, especially in Elden Ring's DLC specifically. There are bosses that have really long chains of combos, and with parries you can interrupt them, right? So that's pretty good. You don't have to wait as much for an opening. But there are also other fights where you might be able to parry, but then you don't want to take the riposte, and so at that point, because it doesn't deal as much damage, so at that point might as well just dodge the attack. So it does depend.
That's fair. Like, I think a lot of people, because if you use the parry or the shield, actually that is when that little or the smaller of the two blue bars comes into effect. That is your power bar. Because it drains that one and you refill it just by attacking enemies. So it's not a resource that you really actively have to manage, because you tend to have quite a lot of it. But, you know, it is a resource drain. Actually, you can also do this now. We learned that after the Burnt Apostate, which is the Beast Transformation. During the Beast Transformation, obviously, you turn into this weird creature-type deal with the bigger sword. You can attack really fast. It has good DPS. It continuously drains your power meter. You actually see now there's a little bit missing over there. However, the nice thing that they added with the DLC is if you transform back from beast mode into normal Eric, you get a full heal. And you can't just do it instantly. You can't just transform into beast mode, immediately transform back, regain all your health, and you have just used a little bit of your focus bar over there. You basically deal one hit to an enemy and you transform back again. So you can basically keep spamming that. And it doesn't necessarily completely make you unkillable, but it's a bit overtuned, as you can probably tell. Like, I think you're probably dying for something like that in Elden Ring, I can imagine.
Yeah. I think in the beast transformation you did like some kind of a teleport as well?
Yes, that is basically the dodge roll gets replaced by this teleport, which actually covers quite a bit more of a distance.
Yeah,
you are moving quite a bit faster and you are teleporting further. However, yeah, this is being a marathon setting. I kind of want to be a bit conservative of the bar just in case I actually need it for healing, because from this point onward we actually kind of don't want to use the healing injections anymore because you are locked into place while doing that. And it just makes item management a little bit easier by not having to scroll through the stuff as as much as we might need to do.
Do you also need to use more injections now because we have a bigger health bar than we did at the start of the round, or are they percentage based?
No, they deal a fixed amount of health. But actually good notice, because yes, our health did actually increase since the start of the run. And that is something that not a lot of players use because, they use it of course, but they don't notice it because on New Game it is a little bit more inconspicuous, I want to say, because you don't have as much health, and the increase that we got is percentage based. Because what happens is these Nitrox hearts that we have gotten so far, they actually increase all of your stats, like not your strength and dexterity, but your health and mana by a percentage. So every time you get one of these Nitrox hearts, yes, you actually do gain more health. And since we have 99 vitality, that increase is actually substantial. Which actually, yes, makes us a little bit more powerful, or durable, I should say, over the course of the run. But no, they are not percentage-based or anything. They actually heal a fixed amount. So yes, you do actually need to use more of them as well, which makes like the transformation even that much more, not viable, but desirable to use, because it gives you that full heal. Now, you might have noticed me saying earlier that whenever you take damage and you have one of these bombs, they immediately explode. They actually tuned that down a little bit. I'm not quite sure if that was in one of the earlier patches already, or if it came with the DLC as well. But not every single attack that you suffer immediately ignites these bombs anymore and makes you explode. So they toned down that difficulty basically just a tad, making this a little bit more manageable, because there are definitely some gauntlets, especially with all these respawning icicles that keep falling on you, that make some of these areas that we're going through are pretty harrowing on a first go through. But yeah, this is basically, I want to say, a bit like the Castlevania area. This is like one, or probably the biggest area like in the whole game, where you spend quite a bit of time going back and forth between these towers and halls and whatnot. And it's definitely like the biggest area in the game itself. And yeah, you can probably see, you know, the vampires and the Castlevania experience that the game wears on its sleeve a little bit here.
I like the little cool tech. I know it's probably intended, but jumping off and then dashing back onto the wall.
It's actually required, because there's no other way to get back into the wall, I want to say, in time before you lose the height of the jump there. So you actually have to do it very specifically. And it's also something that, honestly, it took me a while to figure out at the start, because I was just flabbergasted. I was like, okay, how am I supposed to actually climb this? Because I was doing the movement in the wrong order. Like, I was already dashing to the wall, and then I was jumping off, and so like, okay, I need to have more height. How do I actually get up there? And it's another thing that a lot of people might stumble upon the first time they're playing this, thinking that they might need a double jump right here already, and getting stuck a little bit until they figure that out. Yeah, you can kind of see how our DPS just goes down the gutter a bit if we have to rely on aerial attacks, because it's definitely not as quick as just, you know, shredding them to bits like this, unless they go into the air and get invulnerable while doing that.
Yeah, because in the air we can do basically just one hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no usage of your special ability or anything like that, so you just, constrained to those one-hit attacks. Now the goal of this area is basically to light 4 of these torches, which will open this door that we passed a little bit earlier while coming through here. The first order of business for that was to get that key that we got in one of the earlier rooms, which basically unlocks all the locked doors in order to be able to, go through all of this. Nice thing here, you saw me go down this long fall and then using the air dash just at the end there to cancel the fall animation. So we're not stuck in that. Again, minor optimization at that point. And then immediately, first of all, we summoned the elevator to go to the top just so it's actually able to go all the way up and down the shaft. And then once we are at the bottom, call me again because we will use that elevator to go back up again. So we don't have to wait for it to come down again from the upper floor. That is exactly what happens, like one of the bigger strikes. If you have the bomb equipped, it will still detonate it. So you have to be a little bit careful with that. And it's not that it was just every single attack, every time you took damage, that bombs were just exploding in your face. Okay, that's 2 of the flames down. Another thing that is kind of useful, you saw me just mash through the fast travel options here, because for whatever reason, when you use one of the fast travel options, or if you select the fast travel menu from a save point, the first destination that gets selected is one on the list down from where you are now. So basically to the one that you previously, in order, had visited. And you can use that knowledge to just really quickly mash through that menu. Again, minor optimization at that point, but it's just kind of nice to know that that is possible, and that is why we don't grab all of the save points, because again, it takes a little while to activate them in the first place, and it also makes the menu more convoluted. And again, the option to just travel between, or fast travel back to a fast travel point, highly appreciated. Makes a lot of the backtrack, or cuts down on the backtracking quite a bit here.
Yeah, I have to say that I really like the sprites in the game, and the sound effects are done pretty well. So far, I've really enjoyed the game.
It is quite the looker. It definitely nails, I think, the dark gothic aesthetic.
Yeah.
I think it's especially pixel art kind of lends itself into it because of the less saturated color palette that they are going for here. So it really is a nice looker, and they put a lot of work in the sprites themselves. So it's not just one sprite for attacking, or say 3 sprites for attacking and whatnot. No, they have a lot of animations going on there. Alright, one of the more annoying bosses, I want to say, coming up right here. This is Lisa. You've seen her a couple of times during the run, and this time it's yeah, no, you've gone far enough, buddy, slow it down a little bit. You're just making things worse for everybody. She's not necessarily a bad guy, she's just trying to, prevent you from doing worse in a way. It would be actually cool if we would get to play her at some point. I think that might have been one of the stretch goals for the game at one point that hasn't been made it. I might be completely wrong and talking out of my ass right now. But I think she would be really a fun character to play as at some point. You saw the parry there. She actually has the ability to parry you. And it's kind of funny that they actually went ahead and changed that ability a little bit, because now her parry actually works like a proper parry. Whereas before it was actually more like a counter grab, from a fighting game, which it still gets the same effect in a way, but kind of different application. Now, please, okay. She was about to heal there. She kind of canceled out of it, but we just got her now. All right, cool.
Well, we didn't kill her. That's
yes,
foreshadowing.
And now comes Manfred, and Manfred was probably the boss that got the most nerves with the drop of the DLC. They completely defanged that guy, because he was the big wall in the game for literally everybody. because he has, apart from one, maybe two bosses in the game, like the highest health total. Like he has probably as much health as, I want to say, like 2/3 of the bosses that we fought so far combined. Might be a slight exaggeration, but it definitely feels that way. Like he is a tanky bastard. And all of his attacks are really deadly. They deal a lot of damage to you, and it gets so much worse, or it got so much worse in the second phase of the part, which we will see after this attack. So what happens here is he gains like a shadowy after image that does different things depending on which attacks he does. And they have complete, yeah, you can kind of see it there, yeah, they had went. And in the original version of the fight, I think that happened after every single thing that he did. So we are kind of facing two enemies at once. And as you can see, it's not happening that often anymore. Like still, they're there from time to time.
Close call, but the full heal.
But not as much anymore. And yeah, it was literally a fight of attrition. Like this fight went on for a good 8 minutes or so in a speedrun setting. So if you were to die here near the end, you're like, yeah, okay, this set me back like between 5 to 10 minutes right now. The run is basically over, even though we are very far into it. So it was a huge roadblock. And don't even get me started on casual players.
Do you always have to beat Lisa to get there, or is Lisa...
No, I mean, you only have to beat her once, so if you die, you don't have to do her again. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was the thing, like right there. No. Definitely not. But yeah, with him out of the way, we are now going to the crypt entrance because we got the last movement option. And I guess we all know what was missing from our arsenal of moving options. In a Metroidvania, like what could it be other than the double jump? So yeah, we are basically into the end game right now. We are now in the final stretch right here. There are like two, I want to say, major areas left, which are very short in comparison to what we went through so far. But first of all, we have to get there. So,
even the double jump animation looks pretty cool.
It does.
Yeah.
Like I think it's called the celestial larvae that you get, which, you know, it kind of just gives off this Bloodborne vibe with the item names, like, for sure.
Yeah.
But just imagine if we were able to get a double jump in Bloodborne. Basically the only thing that game was missing, right?
Well, it's almost missing just a regular jump, to be honest. Like, they basically added that with Sekiro and then Elden Ring. The jump before that was almost pointless.
Yeah, but kind of just, you know, think about what that little piddly jump already did to breaking Bloodborne,
that's
like, in half with some of the speedruns that you were doing. Where you think, what was the jump over that little railing where the executioner was?
The
something
skip,
like,
and then you break the box by accident. Yeah.
So yeah, imagine if you actually had like a proper double jump in that game. Okay, I'm just gonna take it slow here. Alright, once again, guys, keep in mind we have a donation incentive tied to this run. So if you want to see us go for the Embrace the Cosmic Voice ending, which will add another boss fight at the end of this run to it, instead of just going for Hail to the King, which I know sounds kind of cool, but it is the worst ending of the two. You still have a couple minutes to do that, no worries there. But we are very fast approaching the end of this run. I don't get bodied by this bastard over here. Like, I really don't like these small vampires that just kind of latch onto your face and then deal a lot of damage to you. Kind of saw it once when I jumped down one of the ladders a little bit earlier.
Yeah, you had to like press square or something to get rid of it.
To get it off your face again. And they deal a lot of damage if they do that, so you really don't want to see it if you can help it.
Yeah, you can definitely tell we're in the end game, given that the enemies are way more spongy now.
You might remember this guy. This was also like a boss enemy a little bit earlier, like in the Federal Inquisition area before you fought Herman, where we find 2 of them at once. And now they're just, getting 1 of them at least. And it's just a normal enemy. The Moon Silverstone that you saw me get there, these are basically the upgrade items for your weapons. And some of the combat arena just reward you with them. And you just always need the Moon Silverstone or the Demi-Shade ore for the more like higher tier weapons, I want to say. So those are basically the only 2 upgrade materials in the game. But then, of course, you still need those prototype blueprints that you saw me pick up earlier to actually unlock the higher levels of the upgrades. Instead of, going through the smithing stones. Number 20, or how many ever there are in Elden Ring at this point. Alright, time for another boss fight. You can kinda already hear him. Oh, I had the wrong weapon equipped. Oops. Like, this guy is, he's kind of like a lumbering, hulking beast. He doesn't have a lot of attacks. I think he has like only 3 or maybe 4 different attacks that he can actually do, but all of them hurt a lot. So you kind of really don't want to get hit by that guy. Like, he definitely has got to just 2-shot. Yep. Got that, good. But you kind of just really see how much damage the
Rippos does, yeah.
The Rippos does. Like, it's not like I'm dealing bad damage with just the special attacks, but, you kind of want to go for these things.
Yeah, it's guaranteed as well, right? Like, the boss gonna jump away, so...
Now he does this attack. You can kind of just face tank it on New Game Plus, because you can just, do this. If you try to face tank this on New Game, you'll probably get obliterated because you do not have the health to be able to survive that like I did just now. Otherwise, you could try and do it if you are high enough level on New Game, but it just deals so much damage. Okay, that's that guy done.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Now we have the return of, I don't want to call her a fan favorite.
You're too slow!
I am not. Excuse you?
You're too slow!
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
What am I doing?
Anonymous donated $100. I don't want to have to watch the worst ending.
Damn, thank you so much. That's insane. $100.
Thank you,
Kalar
thank you.
donated $100. Good to see you speed running this game, but you're not getting off easy. The cosmic voice awaits.
Damn, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, shout out to Kalar. Kalar was one of the backers for the game, and his OC character actually is now a playable character in this game that you could select if you wanted to, tackle it on New Game Plus. And the character actually comes with an exclusive weapon as well, the Blessed Muramasa, which is, like a katana-like weapon, which I very much enjoy, but I'm also very sad that it's not available to the public as well. But, it's a backer exclusive weapon, so I get it. But, maybe at one point we'll see it for the rest of us. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for those donations. And what does it actually put us towards?
I think that pretty much meets the...
Did it meet in there?
I'm pretty sure I saw the bar, yeah. I'm pretty sure that we met it.
Alright, tech is on it.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and check that. Because we are now into the quote-unquote final area of the game. This is the Junus Ministry. And you can kind of see it in the status build-up in the top left there. When I touch the red soup, we all know what that red soup in this context probably is. It's blood. It's a lot of blood. In the church. Good times all around. Yeah, this will obviously inflict the blood debuff if you spend too much time in it, and it also slows you down quite a bit. And if you remember, I explained it a little bit earlier. What the blood debuff does, it like heavily decreases your defense. I want to say it's close to like 50%. So we are squishy. If we get hit, we take a lot of damage, especially with all of these enemies around you. And if they were able to deal like, basically double damage to us, we wouldn't survive that very long. So I don't want that blood debuff. So we will not spend time in the soup. I will actually... Nice. Okay, so we did meet the incentive, so we will see the other ending. Nice. I normally wouldn't pick up this safe shrine here because it's just that bit out of the way. And, you know, if you're going for a PP, you're just going in full risk. But seeing how the run has been going so far, I kind of think I want that little bit of safety. And at this point, we are now trying to open another gate for which we have to defeat 4 priests to get like the essence of them or something to be able to open that. And we will find them behind this door. Not all of them, but at least one of them. Yeah, see, this is exactly why I took that, because I thought that there would be a grapple point over there, but that is in the next room. So good thing on me that I did get that safety point. But yeah, that was completely on me. I was going a little bit too fast in my mind there.
Still blown away by the $200 that came in for the ending.
Yeah.
Yep.
The love for the game is real, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, if you haven't heard about this game, definitely check it out. I think the sale just went away on Steam, you know, in honor of the DLC releasing, but I think it's like worth every dollar for sure. You can grab it. It's not even that expensive. I don't remember exactly what the price is for the full product, but I think it's like at maximum like 20-ish euros or so. So yeah, it doesn't set you back that much money, honestly. And it's a pretty good experience all around, especially with all the stuff that they have been adding. Like, especially with the Awakened Ancients DLC that is out now. They've added, I think it's 5 new primary weapons, a couple new guns as well. They added a new dungeon that you can explore. They added in total 3 new characters that you can play the game with, that all of their unique weapons that you can all unlock for Eric as well to use. Like, he's like the weapon master across all of them. He's the only character that is able to use all of them. The other characters have weapons baked into them, but like I said before, all of their weapons are available as well, minus the Blessed Muramasa. They also added a Tower of Despair, which is like a survival-based mode in a way. And they also added Boss Rush. So you can just go ahead and fight all of the bosses like back to back and make a nice speedrun of it, because there's actually an in-game timer for it that tracks your attempts. So we just added a new category to
on the leaderboards I saw actually. Yeah. Cool.
And it's only like a 20-minute run. Roughly, I think I was able to complete it. My fast time was like just under 16 minutes. So it's not that much of a time investment, honestly. So if any of you, you know, feel called out to go ahead and beat my time, hey, feel free to do so. I would love to get some competition in on that.
So you mentioned the Steam sale, but we're playing on a PS5 today. Are there any differences or no?
Not that I know of. The PC obviously runs on a bit of a higher frame rate because I think it's uncapped on that system, which makes the jimmy jumps that I have mentioned earlier just that little bit easier to execute. Again, I am unsure still if they are still in the game or if they actually have been patched out. I have not been able to make them work on PlayStation 5 so far. It might be a frame rate related thing that you can still make them work on PC, which, you know, might make the PC runs go by quite a few minutes faster if you're able to do them. But other than that, it's basically the same exact game because, you know, it's not like, I don't know, Elden Ring or something where you have like a lot of mods or something. This is, after all, a 2D pixel art game, so there is not that much going on in terms of mechanics or whatnot you could have.
Makes sense, yeah. Oh, she's back.
She is. And we're not fighting her this time. Like, she's just warning us that she tried to kill the guy that is, you know, behind us over here. And he is technically the last boss, or like, he is the last mandatory boss that you have to fight in the game. And there you kind of saw, like, the Emperor Palpatine inspiration a little bit just now. And you will see another inspiration, like, going on right there. Also, like the background, I don't know, am I the only one thinking a bit of Arno Londo? Is that just me?
Yeah, I see Arno Londo, or I also see Kanehurst from Bloodborne a little bit.
You know what? Good shout. Good shout. Good shout.
So we're using poison for this guy?
This is the dark damage.
Yeah.
It can inflict, it basically inflicts like a bit of a lasting or lingering damage on him, just to add a little bit more. But it also slightly refills my mana, so that just allows me to use the special attack a bit more.
I see.
But obviously he has a second phase, and yeah, I don't know, but Castlevania, anybody? Dracula? With his blood lightning there, like his attacks hurt. His attacks hurt. So you know what? I'm actually gonna quickly do this and that, but yeah, like I said, the transformation and the full heal kind of defang a lot of the tension in a way. Like you are pretty safe as long as you just don't outright get killed. The thing you have to keep in mind though, the health restoration is on the transformation back into Eric. So if you get killed while you are in beast mode, it doesn't like automatically transform you back, so you still have to account for that. However, keep in mind, if you transform into the beast, you actually have invulnerability frames, so it makes it kinda safe-ish, for sure.
Nice duck there.
Never underestimate a good duck. It's like there's one of the, you know, defensive options that you have, but a lot of people are just, oh no, I can only like dodge roll or whatever it is that you have available. It's like, no, just, you know, duck under it. It's right there. Can you come down, please? Right. No.
What's up with that enemy? Did we just soft lock?
I think we did. So, what happens? You saw this guy just, you know, reel back a little bit, and there was a prompt above his head. That means that I could execute that enemy to regain some health. I didn't do that because the animation takes a while to go through. Yeah, well, I guess this is not going anywhere. The animation takes a while, so I used to then not do that, but I kind of forgot in the heat of the battle that if you don't execute them after a while, they really regain a little bit of health and they just can go ahead and kill them. And where does this put us?
That is crazy.
Well, this never happened before. Like
last mandatory boss, and we soft lock.
Yep, all of these guys are alive again. Okay, so we have to do all of this over. I am so sorry about this, everybody. I hope everybody doesn't mind that we will, have to go through this again. Maybe the devs are watching this and so this fixed phase. Or is it? It's like such an edge case. I've never seen anybody talk about this, so this might really be the first occurrence of this.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. I mean, it seems like a big bug, but probably not very likely to happen.
I mean, we were basically like 3/4 through that fight as well. Like, you know, we did the first phase. We were halfway or so through the second phase, so we had this in the bag. And then he said that nope, no you don't, I got a new trick up my sleeve. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of on me to not killing that guy off properly, I guess. But also, yeah, he should have just regained that health so I could go ahead and kill him. And he just kind of didn't. Good thing we're not on a world record grind right now. Oh my lord. We're doing it
both depressing and hilarious though. So.
Yes. I mean, honestly, it is more funny than depressing for me right at the moment. I'm just kind of sad with, you know, looking at the estimate that we will definitely go over quite a bit, especially with the donation incentive that we still need to do. But also, you know, people donate for the donation incentives, so...
I'm sure that the boss battle will be worth it, unless it soft locks as well, and then...
I hope not! But we will see. We definitely have time for a quick message if you want to just sit that one through while we are, you know, retreading old ground here.
Kala donated $20. I have to mention this one publicly. But you could have used the teleport crystal to flee the boss fight and re-engage.
You know what? That is a fair shout. I keep forgetting that you can actually just go ahead and use that during the boss fight. Yep.
You did say it's a new thing from the DLC, right?
Yep.
So not that used to it yet.
Yep. That is true. That is true. Caught me there. But thank you for the donation again. But yeah.
Can you make like more mistakes so we get more $20 donations?
Maybe we should have done that from the start. No. But yeah, just taking that safety save there, so in case it happens again, we don't have to go through the church for a third time. I mean, third time's the charm, right? That is why the donation money is coming in, but yeah. Just quickly going through here. But yeah, you kind of saw how the fight against Luddock goes at this point. So we're just making our way back there. Okay, that is all good. So yeah, we just sadly have to go through the whole fight again. And once again, it is one of the longer ones because he has a lot of health. And, you know, both of the phases.
It wasn't too bad getting back.
It wasn't too bad though, yeah. But it's definitely one of those things, like, it doesn't look too hard once you are, you know, used to the fight and you know what he kind of does. But if you're just playing this with no prior experience, he can definitely catch off guard with, especially like the lightning things he does. But because they just shred your health like so much, like look how much damage just a single hit there.
Yep.
Just taking a second one for posterity there. So if he gets like a couple good hits in, you're just toast. Quick refill here. Now, the thing that you can't control, obviously, is how and where he teleports. So you just always have to chase him around the arena a little bit.
That's also why having the darkness is quite nice, because it deals damage to him still after the TP.
Exactly. Alright, we're back in phase 2. This guy's just literally throwing hands at me.
Okay, here we go.
Just remember to kill them off properly. Nah. I remember this one.
I wonder if it was something to do with the edge of the arena or something.
Maybe that as well.
This is like a very particular position, but yeah, we're good now.
Well, the nice thing about this fight in particular is you might have noticed with his attack patterns, like he always tries to keep a bit of a distance from you, but he does like one attack, and the next time he teleports, he will not do any attack. So you always know that, okay, he will attack, he will not attack, he will attack, he will not attack, which kind of just gives you that breathing window that you might need, because I know now, okay, he won't attack after this teleport, and then again he will after the next one. So you always have like a good amount of breathing room just like in the fight itself to, you know, have to heal or whatever it is that you need to do, or just, you know, wail more on him. But yeah, that is technically the last boss that you have to kill in the run. At this point, you know, we basically skipped his ending monologue there by just being rude to him and teleporting out of there, because we do have that item now. I did remember to use it this time. And at this point, we are basically at the end of the game where you have to go back to the Oxenville Manor, the hub area of the game. And you might notice that there every NPC is now gone, because the game did warn you that fighting, or rather,
You're too slow!
killing Ladakh is the point of no return, because all of the NPCs in the game are not
Admira
gone.
donated $157. Thank you everyone for your efforts, less than 3.
Hell yeah, thank you so much for that donation right at the end here.
Thank you, thank you. Very generous.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, keep supporting both streams.
Yes.
ESA Marathon and ESA Marathon 2. All the proceeds go to Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Lost my train of thought, but yeah, this is basically the end. This is where we make our choice for the two endings that we have. We can either accept the throne or refuse the throne. For the bad ending, for the Hail to the King ending, we would accept it. But no, you all donate that we will refuse the throne, which will make these two ladies very, very much not happy with us.
Uh-oh.
So we will having another boss fight against the both of them at the same time. So here we go.
Got railed immediately.
So basically how this fight works is like both of them will attack you alternatively, and then they will just go to one of the corners and stand around there for a while, actually letting you attack them. So you basically just have to know, okay, what are they gonna do and where are they gonna do it. Like, they kinda tend to teleport to the corner that is the furthest away from you, so you can kinda bait them out. But it's not like exact, like sometimes they actually take the corner that is closest to you. So you have to kinda just, you know, be on your on your feet rather. I hate this attack in particular. I don't know, I'm so bad at dodging it, even though it's not that hard to avoid. But that is, of course, not all. Because we have a second phase, and now they're combining their attacks. But it's basically the same idea. You just kind of want to stand back while they are attacking. I mean, there are some windows where you can attack them. The nice thing is, though, because both of them are on screen now, it doesn't matter which corner you are in. You will always have one of them that you can attack. Unless they do this attack. But yeah, basically, as soon as this fight is over, that will be timed, so do get ready. I keep making this mistake.
Uh-oh.
And it's a bit dicey, so I'm just gonna... Whoop. But as you can see, like, this transformation thing with the full heal, it's a bit much.
It's so broken.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were to go ahead and nerf that a little bit, because if you're not actively using that power bar, you literally just need one attack against an enemy to... Because you can only transform into beast mode if you have a full focus bar, but transforming basically takes none of that. And if you just repeatedly, you know, transform into beast mode and out of it again, you're not spending a lot of focus, and with one attack, you're back at full, so you can't do it again. And it's like, it's a bit overtuned for sure.
Yeah, I could see them making it so that you heal up the way you still do, but that your bar actually gets depleted completely. Yeah. So you can't just, you know, use it multiple times.
Like basically how much power you have used and turn that into the health regeneration or something like that.
Or something like that.
Because yeah, like as soon as you unlock the beast mode, it's like basically turning that into easy mode a little bit, I guess. So yeah, one more cycle and then we'll be done here. Ah, right. It's more for posterity. And that will be time. Yeah, a little bit overestimate there, but hey, we did have that phenomenal soft lock at the end right there. But yeah, this is the last phase for everybody. As well, this is like the quote-unquote good ending to the whole thing, if you want to believe it. But yeah, do check out the game. It is basically on every system out there. I'm not completely sure about X. No, it is also on Xbox. So yeah, PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, Steam, whatever you want. Go out and play it. It's a fantastic game. And thank you so much for Kata for staying here with me.
Thanks for having me. That was super fun.
Commentating the run. And I actually have another run after the one from Soft Angel that is happening right now. So you will see more of me in about an hour and a half. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the donations as well, that we actually get to watch this ending right here. And keep donating to Make-A-Wish Foundation, everybody. It is a phenomenal cause. We're also happy to be here and be supportive of it. And yeah, see you guys in about an hour and a half. So then, everybody.